After living with type 1 diabetes for nearly 28 years, I can confidently say that one of the most frustrating and challenging parts when managing blood sugars with insulin is to manage blood sugars overnight. Insulin pumps are often recommended as a solution, but for me, pumps just don't really work. So when I heard about Luna, a nighttime only insulin patch solution, I was immediately intrigued. The idea of me managing my blood sugars during the day using my insulin pens and then have a device take over control at night sounds almost too good to be true. To find out if this could actually work, I invited John Sjölund, the CEO of Luna Diabetes, to tell us all about it. Hey, John, welcome. I am so happy that you're getting on here and talking a little bit about Luna because it's something that I'm very excited about. So just to get everybody up to speed, can you just give us a high-level overview of what is Luna? How does it work? Sort of also maybe why I'm so excited.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for having me on and for letting us tell the story of Luna and letting us share why we're so excited. Luna is automated insulin delivery specifically for people that use pens. So if you're watching this and you've heard of an insulin pump or, like the Omnipod 5 or Tandem or Beta Bionics, and you say, I wonder what it does for me, but I don't want to wear a pump, then Luna is for you. So what we've developed is the first and only nighttime automated insulin delivery system. And it's for people that use basal bolus during the day and they want to sleep through the night and wake up with glucose in range basically every morning. So we're for you.
So that would be me. Anyone who watches my channel knows that I use multiple data injections. And I also talked a little bit about, the night times being one of the times that can be the hardest to manage because you're sleeping. And it's
Yep.
also, if you sleep as much as me, at least, it's like 1/3 of your life where you're sleeping. And having blood sugars in range for that period of time is really important. So what would you say that the main problem overall, what's the main problem that Luna is trying to solve for someone like me?
So on average, somebody that has type 1 spends 40% of the night with a blood sugar above 180. If you have type 2 diabetes, 40% of the night above 250. So we all know and we all want to avoid lows at night. We all want to get away from that. For many, many of us, it comes at the cost of being high and being high all night or being so worried about lows that we're riding high. What Luna does is you go to bed and you wake up and you're not on the diabetes roller coaster. We're connected to your CGM and we're automatically giving you tiny amounts of insulin when you need it. So you just smooth back to target. And so, Crystal, the reason we started the company is when we came across the data from the most popular pump products and AID products that show that over 80% of the benefit of automating insulin delivery with a pump happens at night. So with Luna, you get 80% of the value or thereabouts, and you don't have to wear a pump all day. You don't have to wear it at nights you don't want to. You get all of the convenience and all of the simplicity of pens, and you pop this on at night before you go to bed. And just our goal is to get you to sleep through the night.
So basically the way I understand it, see if I can explain it back, is that I would still be using my long-acting insulin, so my background insulin. I'd still be using my insulin pens during the day, but this is a patch that I then put on my body, and it's kind of like a little smart patch or smart pump kind of thing. I don't know what the right verbiage is here, that then manages my blood sugars for me at night automatically.
Yep, exactly right. So it's a tiny little thing. It's about the size of the Dexcom G6. Fill it up with insulin from your pen. You put it on, and then you take it off in the morning. And while it's going, it's checking with your CGM. It's seeing what's happening. Are you going high? Are you drifting down? And when you need a little bit of insulin, it will automatically give you tiny amounts of insulin to get you back to target.
Okay. So it's sort of more of a practical question then, because if you take most long-acting insulins last like roughly 24 hours or up to 42. So you'll still have that on board. Is it then mainly to adjust for the high blood sugars? So if you don't have enough long-acting insulin to keep you steady during the night, that it can sort of give you a little bit more insulin overnight and pull you down? Or what's the thought process here?
That's exactly it. So you have this background basal insulin. But I don't know about you, but no night is the same for me. And I don't normally know what's going to happen at night. There's so many factors that affect my blood sugar: exercise, food, did I eat pizza? Am I stressed? Did I sleep enough? That it's really hard for me to know which night's going to be great and which night is not. So this is just like like a nurse in your pocket or a nurse on your side, that when you need the extra insulin, when you need the extra help, it's going to give it to you.
Okay. So I like that. It's kind of like a little bit of extra help. I think for me, it's one of the things where it's like, okay, the way that I can manage my blood sugars overnight is like I have to stop eating at certain times and I have to kind of impose a lot of restrictions on my life. So it sounds like this is also a way of kind of living your life as you want rather than living your life based on your diabetes, which
That's the goal. Less
yeah.
less thinking about your diabetes, less constraints, and be able to fit into whatever you're doing. Look, if you eat a low carb dinner and you finish at 6 p.m. and your CGM is flat and you go to bed, it's flat, and you know that you're taking the right amount of basal, there's a high chance you're going to have a good night that night. But for me, I don't often eat like that. I don't often want to eat like that. And it's my track record of predicting when I'm going to have a perfect night and when I'm not is just not that good. And so I need that extra little help, that extra, like the weighted blanket to watch my back when I'm sleeping. So I don't have to wake up from a CGM alarm. I don't have to go take a bolus and think I'm going to take the full bolus and risk going low. I'm going to take half. I just go to sleep. I want to go to sleep and I want to wake up and I want to be flat when I wake up. That's our goal.
Amazing. Can I ask you something personal here? Because you mentioned your diabetes, kind of. So you're alluding to you also live with diabetes, right? So is the reason why you got involved with Luna, is that because of your own needs? Or, was it kind of something that just landed on your plate and it's like, hey, this is something that can help a lot of people?
It's both, and I've had type 1 since I was 4, and I want to spend less time on my diabetes. I want to spend more time working out. I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to spend more time on my friendships. And, my career in diabetes has been, how do I get myself and my friends and my peers to focus less on their diabetes by simplifying things? And so, the last round was making smart insulin pens. And so smart insulin pens are how do you get people that want to use pens to do the best they can during the day? And Act 2 is how do we get everybody, ourselves included, to have just awesome nights every night. And so this is Act 2 of how do you make life with diabetes simpler for more people.
And I think first time you and I talked, I mentioned that I'm using the InPen, which is definitely for me, being on MDI since 97 was kind of the first time I saw some big innovations for us using insulin pens because insulin pumps are not for everyone. As you say, I've tried it. It was not for me, but I always was fascinated by the idea of, hey, if I could just manage my diabetes when I'm awake using the devices that I have available now, if I could get something that could help me at night. I even tried like one of the do-it-yourself pumps that I only used at night. So I kind of, you know, I've been toying with this idea for a long time. So that's one of the reasons why I got so excited when I saw that Luna was coming out at one point in the future. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But you had the components, you kind of showed it, and I hope to also show the viewers more of a close-up. But can you tell us about the different components? So kind of like you need a prescription once this becomes
You need a
commercially
you need
available.
a prescription. Yeah, so there's basically 3 parts to the system. The first is we've designed Luna so it's super simple to use and to be low cost because we believe that we can get by making AID more affordable, more people can benefit from it. So what we've developed the world's smallest patch pump. It's about the size of a G6, and it has both the pump parts are reusable. So you keep on using this night after night. And then there's a single use, kind of like an infusion set, but it's much simpler than infusion sets that we're used to. And so you attach the two before you go to bed, and then you just put it on your body after you filled it with insulin. You fill it with insulin directly from your pen. So we don't need to just give you a syringe that you throw away every day. You don't need a separate prescription for insulin from a vial. You just use the same rapid acting insulin that you used for dinner and fill it up.
So do I
So
peel the whole part off every day or only the one that's filled with insulin?
you peel the whole thing off, and then you detach the pump part and put it on a charger, and then you dispose of the reservoir. But the thing to remember is because it's just used for 7-8 hours up to 12 per night, the adhesive that we use is much gentler than what we're used to from CGMs or other infusion sets that are supposed to be there for 3 and soon 7 days. So it's a much gentler adhesive than than what we're used to.
Gotcha. And
So the third
not
part of it is,
harsh.
yes, exactly. And so the third part is the phone. So we have a beautiful app. It's designed to be used as little as possible. The setup is really easy. You put in how much long-acting insulin you regularly take. You do that once, and then you basically never have to use the phone app again. There's no gamification, there's no points, there's no games. You set it up And then you hopefully never, you don't need to look at your app any longer. You don't need to start it. You don't need to prime it. You don't do anything. You fill it with insulin and put it on. I mean, that's it. So app, I know that we've developed a full closed loop algorithm that accommodates pen users for basal insulin on board. It's on the pump, and then you have the pump.
So does that mean I don't need my medical team? So with a traditional pump, you need a medical team to like put in all your ratios, put in all your different things. So this is all I could do it myself. I wouldn't need my medical team to sort of set me up.
Yeah, a medical team and a computer science degree, I think is the other thing you're missing in that. When you're talking carb ratios and insulin sensitivity factors and insulin action times, and it's just too much. It's too complicated. And is it my ISF or is it my carb ratio or is it my basal rate? It's just too much stuff. And so this is one thing once.
Okay.
So it's very different. The idea is to make it much simpler to prescribe. If you're a primary care doctor, which is where most people, type 1 and type 2, get their care in primary care, they're already prescribing Lantus or Tresiba. You just put that number into the app, and we do all the configuration and all the heavy lifting for you.
Very cool. So it goes with, is the plan that it'll go with all types of insulin, or is it only for people using specific types of insulin?
So we'll label it with the most. We need to do testing for insulin compatibility and biocompatibility. So we'll do that testing for the most commonly used insulins. And remember, you fill it with rapid acting insulin. That's the important part. So that's what it does.
Yes, absolutely. Big question. I think it was a component, right? So you said the pump, the app, but it also needs to talk to a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor.
Yeah. So we're using the Dexcom sensor in our study.
Okay.
And we've designed the system so it works with any iCGM sensor. And we don't want to. We want people to use whatever sensor they want to use.
Very cool. And I believe like all the newly approved sensors are iCGM sensors. So
there's 3 at the moment. There's the Abbott Libre, the Dexcom sensors, and the Senseonics.
Yes, the Eversense.
Eversense. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds pretty open to which one you want to use.
Yep.
Are you going to be like the first one to try it on when it becomes available?
Well, we have people using it already. It's not just beautiful PowerPoint slides. It's we have lots of people have used it. We have hundreds and hundreds of nights that people have used it. We have millions of nights of simulation behind it. So it's being used every day. We wake up and there's people in our study who are using it right now this morning. And so it's out there in the wild. And just that they're in a secret testing world, in a cave somewhere. But yeah, look, I designed this. The pumps that are out there are really great products. And if you're willing to wear one, you can afford it, your doctors can support it, they're really good products. We're not here to say that any of them are not good, because they are good. But it's also the case that most people living with diabetes that take insulin have chosen not to wear a pump. And so we're for all those people that for one reason or another, whether it's cost, whether it's complexity, whether it's convenience, that aren't wearing pumps, we're for you. And that's how we've designed Luna. And I will when it's cleared and when I'm allowed to use it, you better believe I'll be the first one using it.
I think it's funny because I saw at one point a post, and you and I talked about this, where you were announcing that, the clinical studies are open, they're up, they're running, and you're still recruiting. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that you're currently recruiting for 3 different sites, because you do need to be close to one of the recruiting sites.
That's true. So we have a site in Colorado, we have one in Northern California, and we have one in Minnesota. And those are up and running. And if you're watching this, you can go there, you go to clinicaltrials.gov or our website to learn more about it. By the time this airs, we'll see if we're still recruiting at those or not. This is always kind of changing as we're filling it up. But the best place is clinicaltrials.gov to learn more and see which sites are open.
I'll also leave a link down in the video description, because I did click on that link because I was like, yes, here, I would like to sign up. Unfortunately, I do not live close to any of those locations, and I'll be traveling around quite a bit, so it didn't really work for me. But I think this is an excellent opportunity to be part of the testing and kind of see what it's about.
Yeah, look, if you want to sleep better, this is for you. And I mean, that's really our objective here, right? We've really designed the product so it doesn't wake you up with alerts at night. It doesn't wake you up with alarms. You don't need to interact with it. We've really, really, really designed this with the goal to get you to sleep really well every night, because we know sleep is so important. And when you have disrupted sleep or short sleep, it affects your whole day. Not to mention if your glucose isn't where you want it to be. It just affects your whole day. And on a macro level, absenteeism from work and productivity, they're really big issues that we can really help with.
It's one of those things I would say, like, if I have a poor night's sleep, you've probably seen this. I think it's from Biotribe saying there's up towards 42 things that can impact blood sugars. For me, sleep is really one of those things that's not food or insulin, but poor night's sleep for me means I'm more insulin resistant. It's just everything gets out of whack and just life is harder.
Yep.
I don't love life to be harder. But back to the pump and how it works. I think some of us who tend to geek out a little bit on the algorithms and stuff like that. Can you tell us a little bit more about how does it actually work? So the patch, and there's no tubing, guys. I'm also a big upside. I would say there's no tubing. So you have the patch on your body. Do you have it on the where it's going to be, like on the back of their arm, or is
Wherever you take an injection normally.
okay, cool. And you have your CGM on, your continuous glucose monitor, and the two communicate. But
Yep.
what do they communicate? Is it based on an algorithm? Does it learn your trends like some of the insulin pumps? Is it just reactive to your blood sugars, or how does it work?
So what's really hard with this problem is that people's glucose drifts. And so you drift upward all night, you drift downward all night, you have, some call it dawn effect, where before you wake up, you start going high. And so when you wear a traditional insulin pump, that's the only source of insulin. And so what that means is you can hit the gas pedal and give a little bit more when you're high. But importantly, you can also stop delivery. You can suspend insulin and kind of prevent lows. We don't have that ability because you have basal on there. We only have the gas pedal. It can only make you go lower. And so if you have a little bit too much basal, or you are exercising a lot and you're drifting down, we need to be really careful to not give you extra insulin and make you low. And thus far in our study, we haven't given insulin and made anybody low. So it's pretty remarkable. But it was a very difficult problem to solve for that. So that's a long answer to say, we look at your CGM, we see if you're trending up or trending down and where you're headed. And if you need a little extra splash of insulin, we'll give that to you in really tiny increments. And then we'll see what happens. Again, decide, do you need more? What's happening? Give or not give, and just kind of repeat that cycle. So rather than you having to wake up every 5 minutes and make a decision about your diabetes, we do that for you.
So it sounds like one of the big differences between a traditional insulin pump and this is that it's not a constant drip of insulin. It's a drip when you need it.
It's only when you need it. It's like a micro bolus of insulin when you need it.
Okay. I mean, so I'm a fan of that because I feel like the ones that learn you also assume that you kind of have the same patterns day over day. So that's been kind of like one of my issues. But again, I know, to your point, traditional insulin pumps are awesome and I love them for so many people. They're just not right for everyone.
They're not right for the majority of people with diabetes. Only about 35% of people with type 1 in the US use a pump, and very little people with type 2. And then Sweden, where I'm from, Denmark, there are other developed countries, pump penetration is even lower. And so the overwhelming majority of people who take insulin for one reason or another don't use a pump. So we're for all those people.
So given the way that it works, I would make the assumption here that, for example, if your CGM stops working, so right now mine is wackadoodle and it's probably going to be, doing a failure soon and it's going to stop working. If that happens, it sounds like, based on how the Luna works, it won't give you anything. It'll just be on your body.
You're just right back to kind of standard of care, or where you were before, which is you're just sleeping and you had no automation. So if anything stops working, you just stops giving insulin and you sleep through the night.
Yeah. And since you have long-acting insulin on board, you're not at a heightened risk of going into decay or something like that. So that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. Does it have a goal that some insulin pumps have a set goal where they try to aim for 100, 120, 150, whatever blood sugar on average? Do you guys do the same, or how does that work?
Kind of. But what's different is that we look at the night differently, and we look at the kind of your risk of hypoglycemia differently as the night progresses. So the target is actually kind of changing as you go. So it's not like you go to the app and say, I want to be, my target of 100 or 120. We don't have any knobs or any dials or any settings for you to adjust. in there. There's only one thing, just how much long-acting insulin do you take? There's no other settings. And so, it's our belief that there's some people that want all the knobs and all the dials and all the settings, and there are products for you if you want to adjust all that stuff. We're for people that want less to do, that want to sleep better, and don't want to adjust all of those things.
Gotcha. Okay. I think also the reason why I'm asking that question is, well, I don't want my average blood sugar to be higher than it actually is right now, right? So I think it's a concern that a lot of people have when they look at the automated systems, because a lot of them, for safety, and I get it, per FDA guidance, blah, 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 all these things are set a little higher than I, for example, prefer.
Look, there's a trade-off. And, for some people that want to put in more work into their diabetes and are willing to wake up and are willing to, increase their risk of hypoglycemia, you can get tighter control. For many, tighter control comes with more hypoglycemia or low blood sugar. And so it's a trade-off. And, our approach is don't cause hypoglycemia, get the user to do as little work as possible with their diabetes and as little involvement as possible, and wake up at target every morning. But there's definitely going to be people where you want more control, tighter, more knobs, more dials, and then there are products for you that do that.
I think that's a fair answer. Also, I think most of us don't want low blood sugars because they're just no fun.
Yeah.
No fun. Yeah.
And then the question was, would you rather be at, 180 or 200 for 30 minutes longer or 20 minutes longer, but not have to wake up? What's the trade-off for you?
Yeah. I think that's a good one. And that's where it's so important there's a lot of different choices so we can each find what works best for us. To your point about, some people want to be more involved, some people want to be less involved.
Yep.
I know you can't tell me exactly when we're going to see this product, but can you give sort of a high level idea of where we're at in the world of things?
Yeah, look, we are working our butts off to get this out as quickly as we can, because we know what a good night's sleep is. We know how transformative it is to just be able to go to sleep and not have to be concerned, not have to set alarms, not have to, purposely ride high because you're scared of going low. So we're, running our pivotal study at the moment, and we have other studies to come, and it's coming in the near future. What we have to do is we have to get our pivotal study done, and then we need to work with the FDA to get it cleared. Oh, it's at least a year out, probably a little bit more.
Okay. So you're going after a FDA clearance before CE mark? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. So for anyone listening, that means US first and then rest of the world.
At least that's the plan today.
The plan as of today. I know, yeah. That's the thing when you have a product in development. There's a lot of moving parts, and I totally get it. So I'm just excited that we're talking about this, that you guys are far enough that you're talking about it, because that means there's something there. You're already doing the clinical studies. Again, anyone who is interested, go check out the link. I'll leave it down below this video. See if there is a study near you or relatively near. I think if you're willing to travel, they'll probably take you if those studies are still going. And if you have any questions, I'd love for you to leave that comment down below in the video, and I will see if I can get you an answer. But John, anything for wrap up here, anything you want to add?
No, look, if you find an insulin pump too complicated, or you don't want to wear something in your body all the time, but you want most of the benefit of a pump, which is at night, then we're coming and we're for you. And, go to our website, sign up for our newsletter so we can keep you up to date on what's happening. And I assure you, we're working our butts off to get it out as quickly as we possibly can, because we want to use it ourselves.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for having us.
I don't know if you could sense this, but I'm pretty fired up about the Luna Nighttime patch. What do you think? Is this something that you would try? Would you sign up for the trials? Let me know down in the comment. And I'm super grateful that John was willing to get on here and tell us a little bit more. If you're interested in more videos like this, I suggest you check out this video where I talk to the CEO of Beta Bionics about the iLet insulin pump, or this video where I talk to Jake Leach, the COO from Dexcom, about the future of the Dexcom CGMs. And while you're here, why not subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, that way you'll never miss a thing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.